Welcome to the Arts Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, to increase your profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week we're going to be talking about the overwhelm that comes with overbooking yourself, or said in a different way, how we can people please our way into hating our art businesses. Because in the beginning, when you get your first customer, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to do anything that they want. And I'm going to make sure they're happy. And yes, you want it tomorrow. Yes, I will work on it overnight. It's like that excitement is there. And we don't really think about a long-term effect of that. And in the beginning, it's totally fine because we're energized by a sale or a commission or getting scheduled for a mural, and the client wants us to bend over backwards and we're legitimately happy to do it. But I want to talk about what happens when you keep that mentality of making the customer happy no matter what. Like they say jump, you say how far, and the benefits, but also what can happen long-term if you keep that up. Because as you keep going like that, you treat the customers really well, right? Customers who are treated really well refer you. And that's how we get a lot of the business. It's a lot of promotion and a lot of outreach and a lot of things like that in the beginning, but then slowly but surely recommendations start to take over and we don't have to promote quite as much. That's the idea, right? And everybody wants a happy customer because a customer's word of mouth is it's the livelihood of our business. And so after that excitement ends and we have more and more customers because our customers are referring to other people and we're also doing promotion on social media and all the things, like more things come in. And it's not too big of a deal to bend over backwards for one customer who is like, hey, I really want to get this birthday present to my sister by the end of the week because it's her birthday. Can you do this by then? And you're like, oh my gosh, of course. But then when you have multiple customers saying something similar, or you have one customer who you've been looking forward to this mural for a while or this canvas commission and whatnot, and you have it scheduled for this week, and then you have another equally amazing opportunity present itself this week that needs to be done this week, that's when things get a little awry. That's when you kind of look at yourself and you're like, wait, this isn't fun. I'm stressed out. What do I do? Right? So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories of things that I've done in the past and predicaments that I've gotten myself in. There have been a lot, and how I've handled it and how I handled it then, how I handle it now. And this is all just to help you go through the transition of being a new artist to one who is booked up regularly, and remind you that just because a deadline is something that somebody wants right now doesn't necessarily mean we need to sacrifice our mental well-being to make a customer happy. It's okay. This subject is top of mind for me because I was just thinking back to a Memorial Day. I want to say it was probably about 5-6 years ago. And a customer wanted a big mural and it was about $7,000. And for me at that time, that's a pretty good sized mural. I mean, it still is now, especially in small town Midwest. And I drew out a design for them and they said they wanted it. They wanted it to be a little bit more like this. I was like, okay, great. So I didn't do a finalized design. Mistake number one of a newer artist, I guess you could say. And so we started painting and I painted it very similarly to how I had the mock-up, and I just added more of what the customer suggested. And then I got to almost the end and they're like, we hate half of it. Like half of it's pretty good, but we actually don't like the other half of it. Can you fix it? And I was like, oh my gosh, sure. And so it's just a little bit of embarrassment, a little bit of people pleasing, a lot of just wanting to get the job done and over with because I have projects the next week. And I remember as we were painting that first round, I was like, hey, Memorial Weekend's this weekend. What are we going to do? Do we want to go to the lake? Do we want to do all these things? And then the change request came in, which was going to take days, not just hours, but days to change it. And I had another artist working with me, and we both stayed and sacrificed our Memorial Day weekend to get this finished because I had other projects coming up and I just didn't want to leave it over the weekend and have the customer be upset in any way. And I look back at that and I'm like, what are you doing? That's something that I would never do nowadays. First off, I would have made the full sketch and really got an idea of what the customer wanted. But say nowadays, it's just a picky customer and they want something changed and it's going to take a while. How I would handle that now is I would say, okay, great. I'm going to mock it up for you, make it perfect, and then we're going to change it on this date. And I would have gone and had a great Memorial weekend and not just overworked myself to get this done because for some reason I couldn't leave it like it was because it was so bad. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't what the customer initially wanted. And they didn't necessarily need it done by that time. I just took it upon myself to please them as fast as possible with my Memorial weekend taking a hit with that. And it's not that big of a deal, but it is because little things like that, even though I didn't go, I'll get to go out, have fun, whatever, relax. Things like that add up because it's not just that one time. I did it multiple times. If somebody wanted something last minute, I'd be like, yes, of course. Like, let me throw that in. Like, I can get this done because everybody wants something last minute. And what I have learned is whether it's a change request or somebody wanting something this weekend, it is not my fault that they waited until right before the deadline to get this started. A lot of the times people know about projects or they know of a goal that they want. And yes, art is typically the last thing that people think of, but it's not my fault that somebody waited the last minute to get something done. They waited last minute to get a gift, or they waited last minute to get back to me on the design so that I could finally start. They waited last minute to talk with the team and get themselves organized to the point where now I'm rushing to get it done because they're made up deadline. So what I'd like to do now is really push people and say, okay, this is your deadline. Like, why? Why is this your deadline? And then if it's going to be a rush for me to do it, say, okay, what happens if I can't get this done because of weather, because of this? What happens if it gets done 7 days later? Like, hypothetically, what's happening here? And let them speak. Because if they usually art being art, it's not surgery. Nobody's going to die if somebody doesn't get something painted by a certain date. Okay. I was going to say that again. Nobody is going to die if somebody doesn't get something painted by a certain date. I've even lately pushed back on people like opening hotels. Because again, it's paint. It's okay as long as the walls can hold things up and things look decent. If a mural isn't painted by the opening date because I'm busy, if they really want me to paint it and they respect my time, so two very important things, they'll wait. And so we were just painting the Moxie and I was like, okay, I don't have time to do this. They're like, well, we have like a soft opening this weekend. I'm like, well, I don't have time to do it. Let's do it next week. It won't be there for your soft opening, but it will be there for guests to see for years and years and years. And I'm like, okay. And usually people are fine with it. I think what happens is for me, before I learn to kind of stick up for myself or take my well-being, my mental health into account before just saying yes to everything, is it's way more of a big deal in my head than it is in theirs. And I just kind of have to step back and think about that. And if it really, really is a really big deal that it needs to get done right then, I will tell people, okay, well, you kind of put me in a bind by waiting till this or blah, blah, blah. Like, so it's going to be really difficult for me, but I am happy to take on the challenge. Because I can hire people. I can have people come out and help me for a day. And I will tell them I will try my best and we will get it most of the way there. But if it's not fully, like I have a toddler now, we can't, like there's certain things that I just can't do, then in order for it to be the quality that you expect it to be and that I want it to be, it might not get there, but I will try my absolute best to get it there for you. And they are usually very, very happy with that. As long as you keep it very optimistic, but realistic. And explain that, they say things take time and that you're excited to do it and that you really want to. But sometimes I'll even explain, like, if I work overnight on this, you're not going to get as good of a result as you would as if I would come in during normal hours, or this and that. Or sometimes what I love to do, actually, so since people put on murals, like for some reason people are like, hey, I have to get this mural done before this restaurant opening. Can you do it in 2 weeks? And I'm like, no, but I do have this time slot open. They're like, well, that's actually during our opening, or that's actually right after the opening. I'm like, great. So when customers are coming, they can see that you're taking the time to have something hand painted rather than just sticking a sticker on there. People love the live painting aspect, and I don't need to come after hours. I can actually just come during normal painting hours, and I'll keep my stuff really contained. It won't be a big mess, but people can see it being painted live, and customers really appreciate the hand painted touch. And it's fun. Like, I don't mind if people watch me at all. I usually tell people that I'm used to working on construction sites. And so while things are being built and people are doing their job, I have people watching me all the time. And I assure them that I do this quite often and that I paint for such and such companies during the normal day hours and not at night. And it's completely fine. I don't get it on clothing or wear whatever kind of merchandise they have or food or whatnot. It's not the end of the world if I do this. And I think just explaining this in a very calm, yet optimistic, yet realistic way really helps the customer take on your energy and say, okay, yeah, that's fine. I have had people push back and say, no, I really need this, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, at the very end of the day, even if I really want it, but I know that like I can't travel because I just traveled last week and like I can't travel next week because that's way too much time away, something like that. I'll say, I have an artist that's perfect for you. Let me connect you. And I will talk to that artist and say, I really want this. I can't do it here if you could do it. But if they ask for another one, I would like the chance to bid it first. And so I just tell them, and I refer to people who I trust. And I mean, sometimes, like very few times that's bit me before, but most of the time artists are really great. And you can kind of tell if somebody's just out for themselves. And so you don't pass, things to them. But more often than not, it works out. And the customer is really happy that you referred them and that you helped them find another artist, because as I was just talking to a customer that I have up in Branson, which is like an hour away from me, and they were like, it's actually really hard to find a muralist. I'm like, not really. I know so many, but I'm like, yeah, it is a specialty. And so you referring them takes that off their plate, and it's somebody that you trust, and hopefully they will come back to you. If not, the artist will refer them back to you in the future. You just say that specifically, hey, next week does not work for me, but if they want anything past next week, I would like the opportunity to bid it. So what I'm saying too, it is not the worst thing in the world if you say no. I try everything beforehand. I will hire somebody to help speed it up. Like I said, I will try to talk them into, that their deadline is actually not a super hard deadline and that they can actually have it next week or the week after, or a month from now, and that it's no big deal. Or I will try everything. But in worst case, instead of doing the thing that just doesn't make my soul happy, which is making myself uber busy or traveling too much so I'm not home, or just whatever that situation is, I will just pass it off. And it's not the worst thing in the world. I feel like in the beginning, I had like no family to come home to, and I had a lot of energy, and I had this drive, which I still do, but it's different now. But I had this drive to just, yes, I want to do it, because it was also driven by a fear that things would slow down later on, because the mural business does ebb and flow. Even still, I have some months where I have hardly anything, and then I have some months where I backed up for 3 months and I'm like, what the heck? And so back then, more often, that fear was there of, okay, I made this my full-time job. I can do this. Oh, now I'm making really good money. Oh my gosh, what the heck? What if it goes away? Like, completely goes away. What if me telling that customer no, or me not doing this, or whatever, makes my whole career just go up in flames, which is so crazy. But what I'm finding is when I do those steps to try to do it later or refer it. What I'm not doing is I'm not showing up stressed because I said yes to something that I really don't have time for. And what happens when I show up stressed is I don't do as good of a job. And I'm so ashamed when I think of, there's several jobs in the past, like the Memorial job, for instance, where I didn't want to be there. It was Memorial weekend. I was getting it done because I thought that was the thing to do, but I just didn't want to be there. And I was so frustrated with the communication between me and the client on both of our ends that it just wasn't what they wanted. And it was just one of those really frustrating moments where I learn, and it makes me appreciate the future customers and the whole process when it goes smoothly. But it just didn't end up the way I wanted. The customer was happy, but it wasn't this like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's like, okay, I'm glad we got through that. I'm glad we can move on to something else, because that was a little stressful on everybody's end, was getting it right. And like the communication wasn't great. I didn't want to be there. And there's several jobs back in the day where I also wasn't charging enough. And so whenever I was hiring people on, I was just having a conversation with my friend about this, about how I feel so much better nowadays because I am pricing correctly. And since I'm pricing correctly, and I'm losing several jobs, mind you, there's several people that are like, okay, thanks, we'll check our budget and get back to you, and they never do. But there's several that do work out, but there's a lot that don't, but they make up for each other. But anyway, I am now charging what is worth it to me, and I am able to pay the people who are helping me better. Because I remember back in the day, it was like when I first started hiring people on, which was, I don't know, man, like 5-6 years ago, I was making $700 on a full day job. And I would have somebody in to come help me because I had a customer that called and they needed something too. And I really needed to get this done quickly so that I can fit this other customer in. So somebody would come and help. And I'd be like, okay, we're going to do this as fast as we can, and blah, blah. And I'd pay them like $20 an hour minimum. Like, here you go. And I worked them to death. and sometimes they learned, and sometimes I couldn't even like stop for long enough to like explain what I was doing for them to fully understand, because that's a lot of the reason why people want to come work, is just to learn. And because I wasn't pricing correctly and I was taking on way more projects than I had time for, I didn't sit and just enjoy it. And I look back on that, I'm like, you're so silly. Why did you do that? And every once in a while, I will find myself doing it again. And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point in having put all these hours into painting and all these hours into promotion to finally have customers coming to you? And now I'm rushing around and not enjoying it. Like, why am I not just stepping back and enjoying what I'm doing? I get to create art for a living. That is so cool. I remember the first time I ever went shopping for a mural job. It was actually for a lettering job. And I got to go to, I think we went to Hobby Lobby, and I got some brushes and I got some paint and like the whole thing. I was like, this is so fun. This is so great. I was checking out. I was like, I will gladly pay for this because I'm getting paid to use a paintbrush today. And like, it was so fun. And then you do it so many times, it's like going to the paint store is a chore. And I'm like, why? How did that happen? And it's a chore because I'm overbooking myself and underpricing myself. Those two things make the job not as fun. Whereas nowadays, not every job is like this, but a lot more are, where I throw out a number that's a little bit more than I think it should be, or like, okay, I think I'm going to do like 10,000 for this, or like 8,000 for that, or 15,000 for this. And then they say yes. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I go and I'm like, okay, if I spend 5 days here, I'm still at a really great rate, and I can just like not rush through it. And it's so fun. And I don't know why that in my head, like I can only not rush through it if I'm getting paid well. That's probably something I should work on, but it's there. What I mean by paid well, exactly, because we love to talk numbers here, and I love to talk to you about, just be super open about what I make and all the things, just to know what you can make, is a good day for me is making $1,500 in the day. And that's after paying people. A really good day for me. And I've had more and more of these lately. They're not every day like this for sure, but I've had more and more like these lately. It's about $2,000 a day. And that feels really fun because I'm working probably 6 hours, painting 6 hours and making $1,500, $2,000 for the day. If I'm making less than $1,000 in a day, even working 6 hours or 5 hours, I'm just not really in a good mood. And this happened because I was painting for a restaurant recently, and I took the customer on a long time ago when I was slower, and I just kept agreeing to their low rate because they just kept being like, well, can you do it for this much? Like, I'm like, sure, why not? Like, I guess you're not profiting that much. Like, I don't know. But I said yes. And then they're the picky ones, of course. And so much so I was painting at this place and it probably making like half of what I would normally make. And I'm like, okay, like, well, I'm just going to listen to a really good book and go with that at this. But I have this other job that's willing to pay me a lot. That's just waiting for me to get done with this one. It's just like, if I would just listen to myself and consistently bid the jobs at what they should be and block off enough time. Because of course that picky underpaying customer also wanted it done right now. And I'm like, it just reminded me of the thing that I used to do all the time that I did again this last week, but it just reminded me like, oh yeah, this is what this feels like. Oh yeah, don't do that. Okay, great. Learning, going on. Okay, thanks. And one thing that I've done now that I have a kid and he gets sick sometimes because he's in daycare. Actually, he doesn't get sick all that much anymore. It's great. We went through the sick phase and now he's like, has a immune system of steel or something. I don't know. It's probably all the sand that he ate all the time. But I would book myself one project a week. And even if that project took 2 days, it would just be that one project. And lately, since I've had a little bit more time, I'm like, okay, maybe I could fit in like 2 like half projects in a week. And what happens is one of the projects says, hey, we have this other wall over here. Can you do this one too? And I'm like, oh, yes, I can, because I'm already here. But now that makes a slow week a busy week. Okay, that's not too bad. So as long as another customer doesn't say, hey, I need something now, or hey, I'm going to add this on, then we're good. But learning of, okay, underbooking myself because something's going to happen. Somebody wants something else, somebody needs something right now, or there needs to be a redo. And I was painting for this restaurant and we went back and forth on what size the mural should be and blah, blah, blah. It was a small one on a wall. I did it exactly how they wanted it. And then they're like, hey, that's actually way too big. Can you make it about half the size? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, okay, well, that's going to take painting it out. And then I'm going to have to come back and to redo it. I'm going to have to charge you again. They're like, oh, okay, blah, blah. Like, okay, great. But back in the day, I don't even know if I would have done that. I would have been like, oh, okay, yes, I can try to come and really quickly make it smaller, like erasing some things, and it would have looked like crap. And it would have taken me just as long as if I would have just completely painted it out. But nowadays, no, I said, okay, I'm gonna repaint it and I'm going to charge you for it. So what I did is I took some pictures of it and I posted it on social media, posted in some Facebook groups like it was finished. And because I knew that people would comment and say, that looks great, that looks great, that's great. And they did. And then I just got a message from that restaurant saying, hey, by the way, it's growing on me. I don't think we need to repaint it. It's fine. So a picky restaurant, like sometimes if you push back and say, okay, I'll do it. Not right now, but maybe later. Sometimes they kind of like come to terms with their pickiness and it's really not that big of a deal. I wanted to say to him so bad, I'm like, dude, it's paint on a wall. It's not that big of a deal if it's bigger or smaller. It's just, it looks good. But man, some people are picky and I can be really picky about things too. So I try to be really patient as I'm doing these $100,000 in 100-day challenges. I'm finding myself slipping into this almost overbooked season again, these bad habits. And so I'm constantly recently having to reel myself back and say, you know what? I set this $100,000 goal in the next 100 days, But if I don't make it, it's okay. If I get just shy of it, that's okay. I don't need to take on this other project to do that. And I don't need to kill myself. I don't need to waste my weekend working. And that's something that I would have done in the past all the time. I would have not scheduled time during the week of extra time where nothing is scheduled. I would have never had a day that was blank because I was underpricing myself. And when you underprice yourself, a lot of people say yes, right? Everybody wants a $500 mural. And that's a lot of what I was pricing myself at. I was so scared to price over $1,000 in small town Midwest Missouri that I would price a lot of things at $750, $900, where now it's like $1,500, take it or leave it, don't care. Like it's just, for some reason, that's just what I did. And so pricing appropriately has helped other people weed themselves out so I don't have to say no quite as often. So that is a huge tip that I have of, if you are super busy and you keep saying yes to all these people, up your prices quite a bit, because then they say no and you don't have to. And that's okay too. It's such a balance of being efficient and being stressed. It's, can I do this? Can I people please? Which is really great. Like that. That's how you get the customers and the raving fans and the people that say I had a great experience. But it's such a balance of getting too stressed out or completely doing everything that your customer wants you to do. I feel like I'm still completely figuring it out, but I feel like I'm like 90% of the way there. Mostly I just like slip back into my old ways sometimes because I have these imaginary goals in my head of, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And like, you want to ride the wave of busyness. You want to ride this like thrill of getting jobs and completing them. And like, it's a domino effect of the more jobs that you have, the more you're posting about it and the more people are seeing you do. And then the more people want things. It's like finding the right amount of surfing that wave to where it doesn't just like make you crash and burn. Because back in the day, I'd say I would just cry in the shower like at least twice a year. I would be so overbooked that I would just cry like, ah! But I didn't realize that I am in full control of my future and my present day. I am in full control of what I do right this minute. I'm in full control of what I do in an hour and next week and next month. So if I'm stressed out about my mural business, it's only my fault. It is not my customer's fault saying, hey, we need this, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's my fault for saying yes, 100%. When I first realized that, I was like, wait, I'm a terrible boss. I make myself miss holidays. I make myself work until 10 p.m. or 12 a.m. and then get up and do it again at 8 a.m. Like that's crazy hours. I make myself stressed out. I get down on myself. I do all these things. And I just realized, and it didn't happen overnight that this changed. It happened over a few years. And eventually I blocked off Monday to be an office day. And then eventually I blocked off Fridays to be like a spillover day. And so I would really just try to plan things Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then if something happens, that's okay. I could work Friday and I didn't have to work on the weekend and it was great. But it took a while because you say you're going to do it, but you look at your calendar and you see those Mondays and Fridays open and you're like, well, I could just go there because they need it. They need it done. And so I'm just going to put it there. It's like, no, I need it. I need the downtime. I need the not having to rush. I need the peace. I need mental clarity. Or heck, I just need a chill day. Like today, I just got back from the Kentucky Derby. We did a full girls weekend with a lot of socialness. And so I worked when the day after the day that we got back, also had my son home with me. So we were glued to the hip. And then now today I'm like, he's going to go to daycare and I'm going to sit on my farm. I just sat in our barn with our new little mini cow for most of the day. And we have little baby ducks. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to take a call. I'm going to do little things. Like I'm going to do a little sketch, but like nothing super demanding. But it went through my head to like go up to Branson and then finish this thing for this client so that I could be ahead. And I'm like, no, just stay put. I haven't been home in a few days. Like, it's okay. I think the hardest thing was like, it's okay if I send my son to daycare and just relax for a few hours. That's a really hard thing to do as a mom, is send your kid away, even though he loves it. Like, he plays with his friends all day, loves daycare. But it's hard because it's like a pull, like I should be with him at all times kind of a thing, or I should be busy. There should be no relaxation. It's a weird mom thing. I don't know, man. Okay, my last thing I'm just going to say though is if you're in a space where you're feeling really stressed out, if you just cried in the shower or you feel like you want to, or something to where you're thinking like something's got to give, like this, you feel like that's, first off, it's on you, but it's also on you to talk to somebody about it, either a spouse or another artist friend, or if you want to come on one of our virtual meetups in the academy, we love to talk about that kind of thing and help you brainstorm solutions to feel better doing a job that we should love, right? And it's not all like amazing. It's funny because all of my friends are like, you get to paint for a living. Like, you have the easiest job. I'm like, it is, but it isn't, because I get in my own head, and that's really it. It should be easy. It should be fun. But sometimes I can just like make a problem out of nowhere, overbook myself, just things like that. So I just wanted to come and talk about it and just remind you that I still do it sometimes. I'm a lot better about it though. And if you're not super busy with mural projects yet, if you're still in the promotion side, just know that this is coming. I've never met a muralist who wasn't overwhelmed at some point. I've never met a hustler muralist who wasn't overwhelmed at some point. When you really want it, you'll do just about anything to get it. And then when you have it, you don't want to lose it. And there's that fear of losing it and everything going away. And so you want to do everything to protect it. But it's such a balance in figuring it out. And everybody's unique situation is completely unique to you. And so take your unique situation and talk to another artist about it who's been there. Like I say, come in the academy on our virtual meetups. We have a virtual chat every Monday where we get on video camera, and while we paint, we just talk about things, get questions answered, and talk about our art problems that are currently happening right now, or how we're feeling, or how we're overbooking, or how we're getting things booked, or how you're handling your current customers' objections, or whatever. No, talk to somebody about it who knows. Don't just talk to your sister who has a 9-to-5. Like, they don't know what to tell you. And also, since this is May Mural Month, I am filling the calendar this month with all different kinds of mural content. So I hope you like today's, because this is a very common topic that I find on when I do my one-on-one coaching, when I do it in groups. This is something that gets brought up a lot. So I wanted to just talk about it. But I hope you're liking our other mural content from past artists. I have some new artist, muralist interviews coming up. And then if you are really into the mural topic, if you have not read my book, Mural Money, yet, you should, because I read it. So actually, it's good to read it if you want to like have the actual copy. I have it right here, actually, if you can see on the YouTube video. I actually painted, if you can see on the YouTube video, this big canvas behind me, I actually painted that to be my book cover. So fun. And I wrote this book just to document my whole process of starting and growing a mural business from the ground up. I wrote it a few years ago now, right before I had my son. Thankfully, I wrote it before that, before having a child. But for about 6 months, I just poured my heart into this, and I got to relive some of those funny, scary stories from just starting in the beginning to growing in the middle to growing up to 6 figures consistently, and what I did in the whole transition and in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, the whole thing, and just how I grew my business via social media and connecting with people and networking and just the whole thing. So if you're really into murals and you're deciding that, hey, you want to get started with painting large scale, highly, highly recommend getting my book. If you go to muralmoney.com, I'll teach you how to make money with a paintbrush. You can get the audiobook for $17. Yeah, it's usually $25 on Amazon and Audible. But if you go to muralmoney.com, it's for $17 for the audio, and I read it. And it's over 15 hours of listening inspiration, full of stories and so many tips, and just some of the best artists that I've had on this podcast. I've taken their advice, given them credit, of course, and put it in the book. So you have all different perspectives, mine, my whole story, and some of the best artists that I've interviewed. So yeah, muralmoney.com. And I will see you next week for another episode of the Artist Academy podcast during our May Mural month.